Welcome to another edition of Your Daily 5. I'm your host, John Colucci, Johnny Scan. We're going to take a look at the RSI today. In fact, we're going to look at the Dual RSI Scan that we've developed. When I say we, I mean myself and Andrew Cardwell, who sadly passed away in late June. So, a little bit of a tribute, thumbs up to our friend Andrew Cardwell, RSI Edge. Check out his stuff. It's still available. The RSI is a momentum oscillator. We've talked about that before. It looks at the speed and change of price movements. Sometimes we can adjust the parameters of the RSI to accomplish different things. Default period, 14 periods. But what if we take the 14 period RSI and use that in conjunction with a 45 period RSI, essentially a fast and a slow moving version of the RSI. Let's take a look at what that would look like on a scanning workbench basis. Here we have the scan, and we see we're working with the indices, the Dow 30, S&P 500, NASDAQ 100, S&P 400. Some overlap there, but a real good chunk of securities are covered right there. So if we look at this, we see very simple code. We're going to use the RSI 14. The value of the RSI 14 is greater than its 45 period counterpart, the RSI 45. Added kicker here is that we're going to ask that the slope of a very simple moving average, 50 period SMA, over 14 periods is positive. So notice that we're echoing the RSI 14 in the slope calculation for the SMA 50. So the SMA 50 will be going up over 14 periods. We're going to rank the results that we receive by the rate of change, ROC5. So essentially 5 periods of change will be our rank, largest first. Let's see what happens when we run this scan. 67 matching results, fairly discrete number. We see that we have a variety of different sectors, industry groups, NASDAQ and NYSE principally here. Consumer discretionary leads this particular scan, Ollie's bargain outlet. We're going to take a look at that in a minute. Energy, technology, different areas of the marketplace. Look at the scooters, very, very high, 99, 98. But the outlier, Zoom, we're going to take a look at that chart in a minute also. So let's go ahead and begin our chart work. Here we have Ollie's bargain outlet. In all fairness, I wanted to indicate that I did buy this stock. I bought it on a scan that I do with the Wyckoff Market Report. I'll show you that in a minute. But we see causality developed here. SMA 50 in the red line beginning to turn up. 200 still down. We broke out over resistance, little respect for the resistance here, up, down. Look at the leaping bars here, fantastic. So I bought a little test position here, and I bought a little bit more down here, so happy about that. When we look at the attributes of the chart, one of our principal focuses is, did we receive the scan results that we asked for? Are the charts responsive to the scan? Here we have the RSI 14 in purple, and we have the RSI 45 in orange. Always important to try to adjust your chart settings to reflect your scan terms. In that manner, you can be sure that indeed you are receiving the scan results that you asked for. So take a look here. We see that the RSI 14 crossed its 45 period counterpart way back in June, and really this is what we would identify as a phase C last point of support, LPS, right there in the May-June area. And notice that once that phase CLPS has occurred, we begin to move up with the RSI 14, but also note that the 45 RSI also has positive slope and is above 50 for you. Those of you that use the 30, 50, 70 numbers for the RSI. I don't focus on that particularly. What I want to see is short-term momentum crossing above longer-term momentum. That's what we have here. Do we have other confirmatory aspects of the chart? Yes, indeed we do. Take a look at what we have here. So the RSI crossed back here in late May, early June. Look at what our relative strength, OLLI relative to the SPX did. Adopted positive slope above its moving average and really took off after that, corresponding with this price movement. The on-balance volume, which I'm a particular fan of, note that in this area, the OBV line crossed its 10-period moving average, that's the red line, and the red line subsequently crossed the blue line, which is the 50-period OBV moving average. All very, very positive. So you see, I personally like to use shorter and longer term representations of the same indicator, RSI and OBV on this chart in particular, but up substantially, and our rate of change over 5 periods for the stock, 17.3%, really took off, thank goodness there. Let's take a look at our next stock, Enphase Energy, renewable energy equipment. Let's see what happened here. We really had less convincing price action to the upside. Big down move here, consolidation area, come out to higher ground here, but this structure still is pretty flat, not super aggressive, but it is putting in higher lows. Note that our OBV lines are up with positive pitch, that's good, but our momentum has really not catapulted yet. We're waiting for that to occur. We do have the RSI 14 over the 45, and our relative strength is up, but we haven't broken out yet. So maybe this is one for the watch list. It could go, definitely. We'll take a look at our next stock. Halozyme. Look at the leaping bars here associated with a very, very steep upward slope on the RSI 14, and we have positive slope on the RSI 45. Look at our relative strength to the S&P, very, very significant over this period of time. Had a positive cross on the 5200 SMA, and look at the OBV lines, all pointing up in the proper order, positive slope. Very good. This is a structure. There may be more to it, but what we have here shows a very clear retreat to and test at the 200 as a last point of support and moving up and out. So this may have some meat left on the bone there. Interesting one to take a look at. Just look at what we're getting simply by asking for positive slope on the 50 and increasing short-term momentum. Very interesting. Let's take a look at our next stock, Zoom. This one's been in the dumps for a long, long time, but maybe things are going to change. Certainly the 200 is not convincing. It's still in a major downtrend, but look back here. We had testing of support, and that is where our RSI lines crossed and have been relatively consistent in that the 14 is above the 45 for this entire period of time. Our OBV lines cross slightly after the RSI cross, and look what else happened. Our relative strength is beginning to pull itself up too. So maybe there's something to the scan. Certainly Dr. RSI and I were discussing this and beginning to work on it together, but of course events intervened and we never finished that work. So think about it for yourself. Next stock we have a STAAR surgical medical equipment. Notice here that we have just a barely beginnings of an upslope on the SMA 50. We did get across about 2 weeks ago to the upside on the 14 and 45 RSI. They're both above 50 and beginning to point up. That cross really followed the relative strength moving up above its moving average, both of which now have positive slope, and we see a positive cross on the OBV line and its 10-period average above the 50-period average, but it doesn't really look like we have positive slope on that average quite yet. This one might be one for the watch list because notice it's printing higher lows here, here, and getting a little bit more of a nice character to those bars, and we don't see anything really bad happening here yet. So maybe this one is one for the watch list. Those are the stocks that we have today. I want to mention briefly, Professor Bruce Frazier and I have a 3-part seminar coming up using some of the concepts that we discussed today, which is crossovers of non-price oriented scan terms. So if you notice, the RSI scan really doesn't have a lot to do with price. It has to do with momentum, long and short-term momentum, or longer term and shorter term momentum. So Professor Bruce and I are going to be discussing that concept as well as many other things, including how to use scanning to help you manage your positions and your watch list. Imagine that you could use the scan engine over to StockCharts to manage your positions. We're all busy. Sometimes we miss events that we should either add or subtract from a position, but the search engine can schedule it and send you the info. It's incredible. So take a look at that coming up 7/14, July 14th, first edition of that seminar. As always, take a look at the Wyckoff Market Report. This report uses the scan engine to generate Wyckoff event analysis, market analysis, and individual stocks. And I do have to say, Ollie's was something I purchased from the report and also was featured in the report on 2 occasions because of the very significant Wyckoff price movements that were occurring. So check it out. Thanks so much for watching. I'm John Colucci, Johnny Scan. Happy to be with you today, and scan on, my friends. Thank you.
Hey guys, Dave Keller here with StockCharts.com. Thanks so much for watching our video. If you enjoyed it, and we hope you did, hit the like button right below. Also, we have so much new content every day. Consider subscribing to the channel. Just hit the subscribe button in the video or right below. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Have a fantastic day.